What if the ancient Romans were growing crops way ahead of their time? Resilient, highly nutritious, and super healthy. For centuries, these crops fed empires, but today, most of them are gone. Let's deep dive into these 15 forgotten crops that deserve a comeback. Firstly, we have Alexander. This plant was one of the most common greens in ancient Rome. It was found in almost every Roman kitchen garden. But what was so special about it? Its edibility. All parts of this plant were edible, including the stems, roots, leaves, and seeds. The stems were consumed like celery, and the leaves were eaten like parsley. People used to roast the roots, like parsnips, and grind the seeds to serve as a pepper-like spice. Romans used to serve the stems of Alexanders with raisin sauce in their recipes. In addition to its culinary importance, this plant also had medicinal significance. In Roman culture, the leaves were used to cure scurvy. The fruit was considered anti-asthmatic, and the root's juice was known for its aromatic, appetite stimulant, and laxative properties. But from the 18th century onwards, the use of this plant started to decline in favor of celery. Celery took its place in kitchens and in gardens, and despite its usefulness, it gradually disappeared from our plates. It still grows in the wild, but no one recognizes it anymore. Second skirret next up. Skirret, known to the Romans as Scia. The most important feature of this crop was its remarkable delicacy. Its texture was a bit floury, like potato, due to high levels of starch in it. Its taste was unique, but vaguely carroty. Why not? This crop belonged to the multi-talented carrot family, but unlike its fellow members, this crop was easy to grow. Once planted, these thin white roots multiplied underground like a food treasure with no further efforts from farmers. This veggie had a mild natural sweetness unlike anything else at that time. Its delicacy made it so special that it made royal fans. They demanded its growth and cultivation in palace gardens so they could get enough of it. It was sometimes roasted or boiled and mashed into honey dishes for royal dinners. Romans added it to stews, meat dishes, and even porridge. Another remarkable feature of this crop is its resilience in harsh weather conditions. When others failed, these roots did not. They continued to grow and provide nourishment. They were described as the comfort of the poor man's table in such conditions. But as the time passed, this remarkable crop faded into obscurity. Third, emmer. In ancient Rome, especially in the early years of the Roman Empire, emmer wheat was an essential crop. When the Romans invaded Egypt, they brought this crop home and called it Pharaoh's wheat. Compared to other grains like millet and spelt, it was a popular choice for both the Roman army and the civilians. Emmer was a good source of fiber and protein, making it more nutritious than some other grains. It was used to make bread, porridge, and other dishes. Emmer flour was used to make heavy bread resembling pita bread. What was different in this bread that made it so special? This was not as light as the bread from other kinds of wheat. Emmer was cooked into porridge to serve as a staple food for the Roman army. The small seeds of this crop were more flavorful than wheat. In its whole grain form, it had a special nutty and rich taste. This incredible crop disappeared after the Second World War. Barley and rye took its place. But now, this crop is emerging again and is no longer a stranger to fields. 4. Spelt, another long-forgotten grain, is spelt. Before wheat came, it was spelt that was considered the main and most beloved cereal crop in ancient Rome. It was utilized for a variety of purposes, including food and religious rituals. In the kitchen, it was either boiled or ground into flour to make bread and cakes. Spelt was used in making bread, libum, a type of flatbread. It was also used to make porridge that was a staple of Roman diets. It was deeply nutritious due to its protein and water content. Here's an interesting use of spelt. It was used in religious festivals and rituals. In Roman weddings, it was exchanged between husbands and wives. Different festivals like Fornicalia and Carnalia used to honor its divine essence. Spelt was known as covered wheat because its husk was unable to fall off during threshing. When wheat came, it took its place because wheat could be easily threshed, especially after the introduction of threshing machines. Spelt had limited uses in the kitchen, but the next forgotten crop had such great significance that Romans were obsessed with it. 5. Sulfium. Next up, we have Sulfium. This long-forgotten plant was popular in ancient Rome for its medicinal, culinary, and aphrodisiac properties. The Romans knew it as laser. It had stout roots, clumpy leaves, and clusters of small yellow flowers. Romans admired it so much that it was even engraved on their coins. The plant served as an anesthetic, an antibiotic, an aromatic, a spice, and a common method of birth control. It was considered a cure-all. In the bedroom, Sulfium juice was drunk as an aphrodisiac or applied to purge the uterus. It may have been the first truly effective birth control. Its heart-shaped seeds are believed to be the reason people still connect the symbol with romance. People consumed its crunchy stalks, boiled, sautéed, or even roasted. Some enjoyed its fresh roots dipped in vinegar. It was also used to preserve lentils. When given to sheep, its meat became deliciously soft. However, Sulfium has disappeared today, either from this region or from our planet. According to Pliny the Elder, only one stem was found during his lifetime. It was taken and handed to Emperor Nero as a curiosity. 6. Mustard greens. In ancient Rome, mustard greens were of great importance due to their culinary and medicinal values. Romans used to grind the seeds of this plant into a paste and then mix it with vinegar or wine to make a condiment like modern mustard. This condiment was then used to add flavor to a variety of dishes that were bland according to Romans. This herb was used as a pickling spice, and the leaves of this plant were also used as a vegetable. Mustard greens were used in a variety of Roman foods, including soups, salads, and stews. They were easy to grow with low maintenance and less effort. They matured quickly, allowing for multiple harvests throughout the season. Furthermore, these seeds were used in traditional medicine to treat a variety of conditions like skin infections and respiratory problems. Early herbal texts recommended using this plant to cure different conditions, from inflammation to liver and spleen enlargement. The seeds were also considered good as a laxative and to purge toxins. Despite the nutritional and medicinal value, these are forgotten, but not completely. They are still found, but often overlooked. 7. Cherville. Ancient Roman farmers cultivated cherville for both culinary and medicinal purposes. It was a delicate herb like parsley. Wondering what's the most remarkable feature of this plant? Its aroma. Its volatile oil had an aroma resembling a resinous substance called myrrh, and for that reason it was also named myrrhis. It was a culinary herb and used to season a variety of dishes. It was a key ingredient in sauces, dressings, meat, fish, eggs, poultry, and cheese dishes. Cherville has delicate leaves and a mild aniseed-like flavor. The flavor is delicious but never overwhelming. It was recommended to add cherville leaves just before serving. Wonder why? Because of the heat. A hot environment could spoil its flavor. According to Romans, cherville had great medicinal importance. It was used to treat eye infections, digestive problems, and high blood pressure. Some also used it to cure hiccups when infused with vinegar. Its resemblance to parsley could be a significant reason behind its disappearance. Many people haven't tried to check it out because parsley is easily available and you can buy it anywhere. 8. Loopins long. Before protein powder and fitness supplements, Romans were relying on something way better. Loopins. These yellow seeds were a significant agricultural crop and food source in ancient Rome. They were found everywhere from soldier rations to food stalls. Their significance can be determined by the statement of great Roman agronomist Columella. He said that these are one of the smartest crops a farmer could grow, but the raw lupin beans are not as delicious as you think. They are bitter in taste and slightly toxic as well. To make them edible, Romans used to soak them in water for days. But after they are prepared, they become soft and highly addictive. They could be ground into flour to be used as an additive to wheat flour and enhance its flavor. Even Pliny the Elder called them poor man's meat. But it's not the end. Beyond the dinner table, Lupins also have a remarkable ability to fix nitrogen. This feature helped to increase the soil fertility and make it healthier for future cultivation. Now, decades later, lupins are rediscovered as high-protein and low-carb superfoods. They were gut-friendly and used to treat indigestion and skin issues as well. 9. Mallow. The next forgotten crop is mallow, called Malva by Romans. Romans could not stop it because it grew everywhere, on roadsides, in ruins, and by rivers. Maybe that was the reason Romans loved it, because it did not require anything to grow, and it gave everything in return. All parts of this crop were edible. The flowers were edible. The leaves of this crop could be consumed raw or boiled into stews, and even the seeds were eaten as well. These plant parts were mucilaginous when cooked and used to thicken stews and soups. They were used to make marshmallow, a popular sweet in modern day. But marshmallows these days have no trace of mallow plant. Other than culinary significance, mallow had medicinal value as well. It was used for sore throats and stomach aches. This plant was used for soothing skin. The parts of the plant, including leaves, roots, and flowers, could be made into tea for use as a purgative. The Roman writer Pliny highlighted its medicinal importance. Galen also regarded it as a cure for everything from digestion to inflammation. Mallow was of remarkable significance for everyone, a soldier, a farmer, or a healer. 10. Endive. Our next forgotten crop is a leafy green vegetable, endive. It is believed that this crop made its way to Rome via Egypt, possibly around the time of Cleopatra's exile. This crop was appreciated by Romans for both culinary and medicinal purposes. It was usually consumed raw in salads or boiled, providing a refreshing contrast to other Roman cuisines. But endive had a bitter taste, so some people used to pair it with oil, vinegar, and herbs to balance out its bitterness. It was also combined with other greens to enhance their taste. Some consumed it roasted, sautéed, or added into soups. Beyond the culinary, its medicinal value was incredible as well. Endive was rich in nutrients, including vitamins, magnesium, iron, potassium, starch, and fats. It was used for headaches, eye problems, and liver and bladder issues. Here's the fact. Endive never left. It is still grown and used, but only in a small portion of this world. 11th. Medler. Ancient Romans didn't just season their meals. They cultivated sharpness. People used to eat ripe fruits, but there was one that was consumed after it began to rot. This fruit was called medler. It was known as mespilus to the Romans. These fruits look like brown apples with an open blossom end showing its 5 seeds. One usually loves to eat a fresh fruit, but this one was not eaten fresh at all. Fresh medlar was hard, acidic, and that's why inedible. But Romans knew the secret. Medlars required a special ripening process called bletting. In this method, the fruit was left for weeks after harvest until it got soft. When it became dark and wrinkled, it was ready to devour. Its taste felt like spiced applesauce and cinnamon after bletting, which Romans loved. Cookbooks contain dozens of recipes for medlar jellies, tarts, and wines. These fruits used to ripen in late autumn and were the last fresh fruits before winter. These winter delicacies were stored and accessible to Romans long after their harvest. Roman writer Pliny highlighted medlars, saying that this fruit rewarded those who could wait. For Romans, it was not just some fruit, it was a final sweetness. But today, this strange fruit is almost forgotten. 12. Sea kale. Sea kale is a hardy coastal plant that grows naturally and with zero maintenance. Even then, this crop got forgotten. Strange. Sea kale thrived in areas where few other crops dared: salty, sandy, and windswept soils. Its roots were white and cabbage-like. Its leaves had a heart shape and bluish-green color. Its branches were like asparagus, soft and sweet. What made it highly valuable was its vitamin C content. Maybe that was the reason it was appreciated by Romans that much. Vitamin C in this crop was almost 6 times greater than that of lemons. Vitamin C helped to prevent the disease scurvy. Scurvy was common among sailors in those days, so sea kale comprised a good portion of sea voyagers' diet to help them prevent this disease. Sea kale was preserved by Romans through lactofermentation or pickling to make it long-lasting for sea voyages. This prized crop was harvested from coastal areas. It was even cultivated on the shores of the Black Sea. Sea kale was forgotten over time, but in climate stress, this crop can be the one we need again. 13. Lovage. Next, we have ovage. It was a well-known and popular herb in ancient Rome due to its culinary and medicinal properties. This herb had great historical significance as well. It was carried by Roman soldiers when they conquered Europe. They planted this herb everywhere. Its flavor was intense and resembled celery and parsley, but 10 times greater. One sprig of this herb could flavor an entire soup pot. Almost every part of this crop was edible. The seeds were ground to make flour for bread. The dried leaves were sprinkled on meat dishes. The roots were boiled and eaten like parsnips. And the most remarkable thing was stems. They were taken as sweet treats. A Roman chef, Apicius, mentioned using this herb in combination with other herbs like pepper and in various dishes like chicken served with nuts and dates. But beyond culinary, its medicinal importance is also remarkable. This plant was enriched with oils that helped in digestion and reduced bloating. Pliny the Elder highlighted its medicinal significance, stating that this herb can be used to cure stomachaches, convulsions, and kidney problems. Other than medicine, this plant was also harvested for its aromatic and ornamental aspects. Despite these significant uses of this herb, it has lost its prominence over time. 14. Good King Henry. Next up, we have another hero of Roman gardens that is forgotten and needs a comeback. Good King Henry, also known as perennial goosefoot. The name of this plant sounds like it's right from a fairy tale, but it was a real and highly valued plant in ancient Rome. This plant thrived in cooler places and was found massively in Roman provinces like Gaul and Britannia. This plant was easy to grow. It usually grew itself, sprouting year after year without replanting. All parts of the plant were almost edible. The leaves were enriched with vitamins and minerals. They were consumed boiled, in stews, or in pottage. They were also regarded as poor man's asparagus. But the significance of Good Henry King didn't end here. It was highly valued even in the field of medicine. It had high levels of vitamin C and iron. It was known to aid in digestion. Its leaves were used to cure wounds, and tea made from its roots served as a laxative. It was regarded as all good due to its vast range of uses. In times when there were no pharmacies and hospitals, it is remarkable how Romans used these plants not only as food but also as healers. 15. Purslane. Now, let's move on to another incredible plant from ancient Rome, purslane. Purslane might glance like a weed at first look, but for Romans, it was not a normal weed. It was fascinating. Roman writer Pliny the Elder mentioned this plant as a healer. It was used by ancient Romans to treat inflammation, dysentery, headaches, intestinal worms, and stomachaches. Moreover, it was loved for its cooling and soothing properties. This plant was one of the most edible plants for Romans. This plant was deeply nutritious and enriched with omega-3 fatty acids, making it an amazing superfood. But what did Romans find most remarkable about this crop? It was not just the nutrients, but the cooling properties of this plant were highly appreciated, particularly during the summer season. It was added to salads or boiled as a vegetable. Not only the lower class enjoyed this plant, but it was also highly appreciated on wealthy Romans' dinner tables. Its accessibility made it a perfect veggie for all Roman classes, from the wealthiest elite to everyday Romans. Purslane, with its magical healing properties, helped them to manage the worries of their daily lives in a bustling empire. Purslane is a reminder that good nutrition does not always have to come from expensive ingredients, but sometimes they are right under our nose, and we just don't know. If you found these ancient Roman crops fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Which of these crops do you want to incorporate into your diet now? Do tell us in the comments.